Our brain controls every decision we make, even our taste in food. Our urge to eat resides deep in the brain. A walnut-sized lump of tissue is the brain's want center. We are only just starting to understand its many functions. Above all, it wants to feed. No organ is hungrier than the brain. It consumes nearly a fifth of the energy we take in. But the want center responds to the needs of the whole body for nutrients, including vitamins and other minerals. When the body runs short of anything, the brain drives us to mind-boggling lengths to fill the gap. As yachtsman Steve Callahan learned, Steve's boat sank, leaving him adrift, alone. He needed a miracle.
I was basically in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I knew I was a long way away from any kind of possibility of rescue. I put my chances of survival as very, very slim.
When his rations ran out, Steve turned predator. Fish were plentiful. He wouldn't go hungry. But he had a big problem. It's rich in protein, but fish flesh lacks vitamins and minerals that the human body needs. On a flesh-only diet, Steve's body couldn't work properly. It would shut down and die. What he doesn't realize is that the fish he catches does contain the nutrients he needs. They're just in parts that he usually discards. As his body is about to shut down, Steve finds his tastes taking a bizarre turn.
I was less and less interested in the fish flesh, and more interested in things like fish eyes and the little plates between the vertebrae and fresh fish liver and fish roe, and basically ate almost all of the interior of the fish with the exception of the stomach itself.
Unconsciously, with death looming, Steve consumes the nutrients that can keep him alive. Only now are we working out why a man could eat and even enjoy what he'd normally find repulsive. Realizing something's missing in Steve's diet, his want center generates intensive cravings, driving him to eat anything to satisfy them. This survival instinct forced our ancestors to try anything to keep their diets in balance, to the point of overriding taste. Chili peppers, to avoid being eaten, evolved a flavor animals can't tolerate. That flavor comes from a chemical that burns our mouths. Even so, we eat them. That's because our brain knows survival can depend on pushing the limits. A red chili contains 4 times the vitamin C that's in an orange. So that we can absorb that essential chemical, our brain has learned to overcome discomfort. Eating chilies bombards the brain with pain signals. In response, the brain releases endorphins, natural painkillers that induce sensations of pleasure. The chili's heat activates the brain's learning center. It stores the memory that despite a fierce flavor, chilies are rich in nutrients and a peculiar pleasure.
So if you can get used to the initial pain of the chili, the endorphins then become a pleasant response. So people actually get used to eating things they're not supposed to eat, like chili peppers, like onions and garlic.
To keep Steve Callahan eating what he needs, his brain uses a similar tactic. Triggering a sensation of pleasure whenever he digests needed nutrients, his brain transformed fish parts that once disgusted him into delicious treats.
Like my body was constantly telling me, you need this physically, and was changing my psychology. I wasn't eating fresh fish liver because I had to, but because my mind was telling me, hey, that's great stuff, that's dessert.
Steve Callahan is rescued after 76 days. Steered by his brain, not only has he saved his own life, he's eaten his way to very good health. Our obsession with eating makes perfect evolutionary sense. During most of human history, food has been scarce. That experience drives us to gorge when we can and store nutrients for survival. But even when food runs out completely, our brain has a response. The want center, buried at the brain's base, has instructions for beating starvation. This cell bundle saved a French cave explorer's life. He expected a one-day adventure underground. It became the greatest challenge he ever endured. Jean-Luc Jossois is deep in a 15-mile maze of caves. He has no way out and no food. He has no idea how to cope with this nightmare. But the unconscious part of his brain unlocks a survival mechanism, changing the way his body works, letting him do what no machine can: run on empty. This brilliant strategy may hold the key to a longer life for all of us.